Well, the Federal High Court in Ibadan has nullified the People's Democratic Party's National Convention held on November the 15th, 2025. The court barred members of the Tanimu Turaki-Led National Working Committee from presenting themselves as national officers of the PDP. It also recognized the Caretaker Committee led by Mohammed Abdulrahman and Senator Samuel Anyanwu as the only legitimate NWC of the party, pending a valid national convention. The ruling marks the latest development in the ongoing crisis rocking the PDP. Well, to discuss this further, I'm being joined by Barrister Mark Jacob, former National Legal Advisor of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jacob. Mr. Jacob, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for.
Okay, fantastic. So this judgment today, some would say it's the end of the road for the party. For the Tanimu Turaki-led leadership of the party?
Not at all, not at all. I think the headlines are not absolutely correct, because the subject that was before the court is the PDP, or the Tanimu Turaki-led PDP that filed the suit seeking a mandamus order compelling INEC and other parties to perform some duties. The issue of the convention was not the subject of the suit. So probably the headlines, the people that have reported need to be guided. Probably they should also get the certified copy of the judgment before writing the screaming headlines, because the issues before that court were clearly spelled out. In any case, this is the High Court. We still have the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court to determine whether such an order, if at all the order was made, will stand. So it's not absolute. Even if that order was made, or that court said what they are saying, which I don't believe, that is not the end of the road, because that is just the High Court. We have the Court of Appeal to contend with, and we have the Supreme Court too.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Jacob, in a bit. We're being joined in the studio here by the PDP Caretaker National Publicity Secretary, Hon Jungudo Mohammed. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so you've heard, Mr. Jacob, and I'm sure you've heard this conversation already from some other quarters, what the Tanimu Turaki-led leadership of the PDP went to the court was for an order of mandamus, not the convention. So this ruling on the convention, how does that come in? I know that you are very excited about this.
Certainly, every patriotic member of the PD would be excited with this development. Whether they are there for whatever reason, what we know is the offshoot of their suit before the Federal High Court in Ibadan is as a result of that illegal convention. And they went to the court, seeking the court to compel INEC to give recognition to that convention and to give recognition to the illegal people purportedly elected as members of the NWC. And the court rightfully gave out a judgment that is landmark, that is acceptable, and that is in tune with the reality, and that is in tune with the two judgments delivered by Justice Omotosho and Justice Lifu. What were they expecting? Were they expecting the Federal High Court to overturn the earlier decisions of the two Federal High Courts? I wonder who is advising them.
But I know that Mr. Jacob is there, and we'll still come back to Mr. Jacob. But what they went to court to ask for had nothing to do with the convention.
Who said it has nothing to do with the convention? They want the court to compel INEC to recognize them. Recognize them as what? Recognize their convention. Recognize the proceedings of that convention. So why are they dodging? They should stop, like I have always said, stop misleading loyal and faithful members of the PDP. The party has been suffocated for too long. You cannot build something on nothing and expect it to stand. Two, they have in the past, previously, petitioned the Chief Judge of Abuja. We don't believe you don't give cases to Justice Lifu, Abdul Malik, and Omotosho. They on their own selected and chose where they wanted to file a case. They went to Ibadan, instituted that case. They got exactly what they wanted. So what more?
Okay, but as we all know that's just the Federal High Court. There's still their court of appeal.
It is, they have right of appeal up to Supreme Court.
Let's bring in Mr. Jacob, and it's good that we have the two of you. Mr. Jacob, in many people watching the political space in Nigeria, especially those who had experienced the PDP in leadership for 16 years or thereabout, would be wondering why you guys, you members of the party and leadership, cannot sit down in one place and put your house together. Why even go to the courts?
That is the question, actually. But you see, we have driven this car to a place where people will sit down in a house, somebody's house or somebody's compound, and constitute themselves into a caretaker committee. My friend that is sitting there, who elected him caretaker committee PRO or publicity secretary? They sat down in Wike's house and nominated themselves and saw themselves in. Is that done in any political party? Nobody will accept that. Assuming even if the convention was wrongly done, the proper body that can nominate or appoint a caretaker committee is not Wike and his friends in his compound. They can't do it, and they know it. So nobody is even saying that this convention must be accepted. But if it is not accepted, the National Executive Committee of the party, the Board of Trustees, will sit down and take decisions. Not somebody convening a meeting of his friends in his compound, and then they take decisions and appoint a caretaker committee for us. In any case, what was before the court? The court said clearly that, look, I cannot sit on appeal over the judgments of my brothers. Now, if you decline jurisdiction, it's a principle of law. If you decline to deal with the substantive matter, any other thing you do or say is just a statement, because the facts or the relief sought before you were for mandamus. If you say you cannot grant mandamus because you cannot sit on appeal over the judgments of your brothers, which is a correct principle of law, you stop there. You don't go further into discussing or making comments on any other thing.
All right. So, Mr. Jacob, I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you don't mind, we'll need to go on a very quick break, but we'll come back and continue this conversation. Okay? Viewers, please stay with us. Welcome back. I still have Honorable Jungudo Mohammed, who is the Publicity Secretary of the PDP Caretaker Committee, and also virtually we have Barrister Mark Jacob, former National Legal Advisor of the PDP. Mr. Mohammed, before we get back to Mr. Jacob, he had talked about the matter of an order of mandamus that the PDP sought, and then the judge went ahead to speak on other matters after he had said he could not sit on appeal on a matter that was handled by his brothers in concurrent courts. Now, that's not what I'm going to. The same question I asked him, what's wrong with all of you sitting down to sort these, what you people call a family affair, and which the Supreme Court has said it's an internal business? Why can't you guys sit down and sort yourselves?
You see, I don't know, before I answer your question, I don't want you to mislead our audience that what is happening in the PDP or the legal issues before the courts are purely internal affairs. It is not every issue that is before the court that is an internal affair of the party. That aside, as to the issue of why haven't we come together, let me remind our viewers that prior to all of these things, there was a reconciliation committee that was constituted by the neck of the party, headed by Wakil Alhaji Adamawa Hassan. A group of prominent, eminent personalities to wade and look and come up with recommendations that will bring peace to the party. These fine elder statements came with a recommendation that in the light of all the issues in the court, here and there, the best thing to do is suspend this convention, put in a caretaker committee. They reported back to the BOT. Unfortunately, because that didn't sit well with them They threw away everything.
The BOT.
We didn't sit well with them. When I said them, now you know I am talking about
those
that the court restrained from parading themselves. Adolphus Wabara, former Senate President, former chairman of the party, Damagun, and the rest, the Governors Forum, rejected outrightly the recommendations of that committee on the allegation that that committee was compromised. How could you have eminent personalities of this nature, of this caliber, that you will accuse them openly, flagrantly of compromise? How? It is so sad. So we know who are causing problems. We know who are suffocating the party.
Before we let you go, just a quick one. You said it's not everything that an internal party matter. What are the things before the court?
These particular matters that we are...
what are the matters in court? Right?
They are not internal affairs. They are not internal party affairs. They are issues that, for instance, the case between Austin and two others versus INEC and Damagun and the rest, that was an issue that they instituted, praying the court to prevent INEC from giving recognition to anything that will come. So it is, and all the reliefs so granted by Justice Omotosho were reliefs directing INEC not to do this, not to do this, and not to do this. So it was technically and somehow issues between members of the PDP and INEC. And you cannot violate your party's constitution and what have you, then say it is an internal party. Assuming you and I contested for primary elections, I won, they substitute my name. Don't I have right to approach the Federal High Court to seek redress? If I go, then somebody will tell me it's an internal affairs of the party. No, it is not done so. So it's not everything that is internal affairs of the party.
Okay, Mr. Jacobs, you want to react to that? The matter of...
Yes, I recognize that he's not a lawyer, so he would not be familiar with what the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal have defined as internal affairs. Internal affairs of a political party are all issues surrounding leadership, membership, and the general administration of the political party. They are internal. The courts have declared so that all those things, the issue of who is chairman or secretary or whatever, that these are not justiciable matters. They are not issues that anybody should present to court. Those are the current decisions of, that is the current position of the Supreme Court. So when people want to do a distinction that does not exist, we feel sorry. Because again, I understand he's not a lawyer and he has not read or studied what the courts and the Supreme Court particularly has said. Even last week, in the case of SDP, in the case of Labour Party, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court have continuously said that the courts have enough work on their table. Let no one bring the issues of administering political parties to them. And these things are clear. There are issues surrounding the election of party officials, not nomination. The nomination is not part of it. Even when it is nomination, there is only a narrow window where you can bring the issue. But everything regarding membership of the political party, regarding the office holding, who is elected as chairman or secretary or anything at all, they are not justiciable and they are not supposed to be brought to court.
Okay, I understand. That is the Mr. Jacob, I understand that we have 10 seconds.
So you are right.
Okay, and so we have 10 seconds each. So I don't know how we're going to do this. 10 seconds closing statement.
I am not sure he read 95 pages judgment delivered by Justice Omotosho. And the issue right before Justice Omotosho was not a leadership issue. And that of Sule Lamido as well was not a leadership issue.
Okay.
So that cannot be regarded as internal affairs
Mr.
of
Jacob,
the party.
10 seconds.
The Supreme Court is superior to Omotosho, please. The position, very simple. Once you are talking about leadership of the political party, you are straight into the bush. You can't take it on. Settled.
It was all about that. Okay, we'll see how it goes. So thank you so much. We had the PDP Caretaker National Policy Secretary, Honorable Jungudo Mohammed. Also joining us virtually was Barrister Mark Jacob, former National Legal Advisor of the PDP. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in this evening.
Thank you for having me.
We wish you